Okay, it's 6:30. Welcome to the Administrative Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, January 21st. Please call the roll.
Councilor Corrigan.
Here.
Councilor Burr. Here. Councilor Hill.
Here.
Councilor Cabrera.
Here.
Councilor Wilmot.
Whoa. He's over at the county legislature.
Councilor Walker. No, McCurdy.
Okay. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the January 6, 2020 committee meeting. Councilor Tesorerio, Councilor McBrearty.
Councilor Corrigan.
Yes.
Councilor Burr.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Cabrera.
Yes.
Councilor McCurdy.
Yes.
Is there any old business to attend to on this committee? Seeing none, moving right along to item number 1 under communication. The city's clerk's office requests approval of one solid waste license application received for the year 2020. Pretty standard. Didn't we do this in Mass recently? We did 10 in a row.
We did, but there was an issue with this one that we got resolved after the fact, so it's all good now.
All right, so nothing to worry about. Okay. Well then, any questions or concerns from the council? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councilor Burge, Councilor Hill.
Councilor Corrigan.
Yes.
Councilor Burr.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Cabrera.
Yes.
Councilor McCurdy.
Yes.
Item number 2, Brian Chetney, Youth Bureau Executive Director, requests approval for the mayor to sign an agreement between the City of Oswego and the County of Oswego to reimburse the city for time spent by the Youth Activities Aid on the AmeriCorps grant program. Mr. Chetney?
All right, so this is this has come before you before. This is funding through the AmeriCorps program to offset some of the costs that Youth Activities Aid puts forth in with the program. So it's basically some of the admin money that just go to the city.
Something we do every year.
Pretty much for the last 23 years, yes.
Very good. Any concerns or questions from the council? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councilor Tesorerio, Councilor McBrearty.
Councilor Corrigan.
Yes.
Councilor Burr.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Cabrera.
Yes.
Councilor Wilmot. Councilor McCurdy, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Item number 3, the wastewater treatment plant requests the PACE Analytical Services be awarded sole vendor status for the east and west wastewater permit monitoring requirements. Is there someone here to speak? Yes, I thought there was.
So PACE has been working with the wastewater treatment plant for the last 3 years. Every year we do a price check on them. They're the only firm that provides us the emergency services we require during wet weather programs at the cost. There are other companies that do it, but the cost is more than triple what their cost is. So every year they pretty much impress us with their price and their service, so we come back every year. We'll do probably a formal bid next year. This will be the end of pretty much our current relationship per the county and all of that good stuff. We'll do a formal bid next year, but this year we want to just keep the ball rolling, and we've already done informal quotes, and they again are on top, so we'd like to continue with them this year.
And this is for the remainder of 2020?
For the remainder of 2020.
Got it.
And then next year we'll be before you with bids.
All right. Any concerns? Yes, Councilor Tesorerio.
Yeah, one question, Ken. They provide all the required documents to state and federal.
Correct.
So, okay, this is something that's on our hands. They do the monitoring, they report,
Correct.
and we've never had an issue.
Never had an issue.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else? Seeing nobody, how about a motion? Councilor Hill, Councilor Burridge.
Councilor Corrigan.
Yes.
Councilor Burr.
Yes.
Councilor Hill.
Yes.
Councilor Cabrera.
Yes.
Councilor McCurdy.
Yes.
Item number 4, the City Engineering Department requests that the Common Council approves the bid submitted by Marcellus Construction Company in the amount of $6,462,229 for the West Side Combined Sewer Separation Project, third 25%.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You guys are pretty well aware of what this project is. This is a third time to the table with it. The engineer's estimate was 6.5. Low bid was Marcellus at 6.4 and change. They, just so we're aware, they did have the second contract. It worked out well. They did nice work, and so the engineering department backs this, and we think that this is a good move for us. So I encourage you to adopt it as the low bidder.
All right, any questions for Jeff, concerns? In the end, yes, Councilor Hill.
Just for the benefit of the public, this is mandated work under the consent decree.
Correct, and that's the other part of this. This is part of our consent decree. There are time limits associated with when each of these phases has to be completed. This one in the fall of 2021, and so getting it going now is in our favor, because that's always good to get it done early.
All right, very good. In the interest of transparency, I did want to read that there was two bidders, as you mentioned, and the second bid was W.D. Malone at $9,645,839.25.
Yes.
Councilman McBurney? Yes, Councilor Tezzavero.
I think Councilor Burgess has
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
You said that they've done this before for us, and do they have a record of coming in at their estimate or near their estimate?
Yeah, I believe the second contract went well. This contract, we are anticipating, and we've built it into the price. This is some of the oldest part of our system, so we are anticipating things to occur, and so we have built that into the contract, and typically how we do put in, a field change payment. So we are expecting to run into some surprises as we go into this last part of the city, but they did good by us before, and so we're looking forward to working with them again.
Thank you.
Councilor, just to expand on what Jeff's saying, Marcellus did, as he said, the second phase, which was in my neighborhood in Councilor Gozik's ward, the 5th Ward, by Vashaw's West 1st, West 2nd, down in the Erie, Niagara Street area. That was the phase that came in about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. It was done, and about $100,000 under budget, which rarely happens. And I know from a customer service side of things, we were real sensitive, being the first consent decree project under my administration. I actually went to the construction meetings to stress customer service, make accommodations to the public when we block driveways. And up in the 7th Ward, when J.J. Lane did the first round, they were putting blue boys in the front yards of homeowners. That wasn't acceptable, this time around. And I can say that they were, I'm excited that we'll be working with them again, because they were thorough and clear in their construction meetings, and I don't recall having to deal with a single complaint from a constituent, because they would halt work to let somebody get out of their driveway. The first time around, the contractor got in fights with people in their front yard. They would let us know when the plans would change, and they would have to close a street or divert traffic. It wasn't some big mystery like it was when I was a counselor and they were doing work up in the 7th Ward. So look forward to working with them, and they have a good record, at least in the work that they've done with us. As Jeff said, downtown, we know this from the Pocket Park and the other downtown work. It's a whole nother animal with the infrastructure that they're going to run into. A lot of the stuff isn't on our maps, it's outdated, or what's written down isn't actually true. So it's the oldest part of the city. So there'll definitely be some surprises and some change orders, but their record is solid from last time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Tezzavero?
Yes, and thank you, Jeff, and the mayor also, for answering my question would have been, knowing that that's the oldest section in town, to anticipate, we're going to see some issues, and you explained all that.
Yep,
So,
we have a field change payment. We built that in, and that was bumped up in order to accommodate for those unknown things. So we've been working with GHD, which the council has brought them on as our consultants for this construction site. They're very familiar with their plans, and they've had staff out here on top of things, and they'll have actual field staff who will be assigned to this project for us. So we have a good synergy, and hopefully that works out.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else, comments, questions, concerns? Can I have a motion, please? Counselor Tesorario, Counselor Hill.
Counselor Corino.
Yes.
Counselor Byrd.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Ventura.
Yes.
Counselor McCurdy.
Yes.
Item number 5. The City Engineering Department requests that the mayor be authorized to amend the contract with W.D. Malone Trucking and Excavating Incorporated to include change order number 2 for Brittany Hill and Munn Street Drainage and Pavement Improvement Project. Jeff?
So this change order contains 2 parts, which you should have seen in the email that was attached with the resolution. The first part was before I was here, some of the things being worked out. And the first part of the change order for $19,677.47 is really for reconstruction. So what happens when you're milling and you're milling a street up is occasionally you'll hit spots where either there was a sewer main repair, a homeowner may have done a lateral connection but didn't put enough asphalt back, and as the milling machine is going, it reveals spots where the pavement is shot, it's gone. And so you now have to rebuild that base in order to make sure that your overlay is stable. And so that first part of the change order represents those overruns of areas where we had to do some deeper repairs. The second part of the change order for the $12,180, this is up in the Brittany Hill neighborhood. And what occurred, there was a misunderstanding on the contractor's part as to the paving limits. And the subcontractor began milling rebates out of driveways and at the end of the street in places where we weren't doing work. And so we were notified, we came out and said, you're not supposed to be paving here. And so then it was a matter of, well, how are we going to, now we have all these cuts in these driveways, we need to fix them. And so this $12,180 represents a submittal from Rosselli Northern in order to rectify it. Now, the question is, if it was their mistake, why are we getting a price tag? Well, they're willing to repair it at their cost, what it'll require is that they will mill out every section. They have to saw cut and chip out to square up all the edges of the rebates, and then they have to do a small paving operation and then crack seal every one of those. And in the end, what you end up seeing is a patchwork of patches then. Will be out at every manhole, every driveway, and that. So as an alternative, because there's also on their end will be a lot of labor costs, as an alternative, they've offered to repave that whole section, do a whole new overlay, essentially at cost, because they'll have a labor savings on their end to bring a paver out, clean up, tack, and then pave. And so this $12,180 represents them paving that at $58 per ton, which is a tremendous price for more pavement. The question, really it's up to council and to the city how they want to proceed, but we won't be able to get that price for asphalt any other time. It's not a section that necessarily needed paving, but at this point in the spring when they come back to fix it, the question will be, if we approve this, then they will just come back and overlay everything and button it up.
All right, very good. Any questions for Jeff? I think you did a good job of explaining the cost and giving us a detail on this. Any other concerns? Yes, Councilor Hill.
I'm just interested in hearing Councilor Tesario's take on this.
I think that's an excellent idea, since it's in your ward, in your neighborhood.
I personally, to the chair, I personally feel this is a very unfortunate event because we had no issue. I mean, we were good. The gentlemen that were up there doing the work did proceed farther than they should have, which before I could catch them or anybody else through the city engineering department, the damage had been done. Unfortunately for the gentlemen doing the work, that particular day, they didn't have the correct information. So, as much as this is unfortunate. I think it's going to, appease the project, unfortunately at a cost of us, which I am going to say I don't necessarily agree with, because it wasn't our mistake, it was the contractor's mistake. And I'll tell you publicly, I'm going to abstain from this vote only because I feel that, I do live there. And I make no bones about saying that I do live there, but I will abstain from voting. I would normally vote no, but for my neighbors and the people that do live there, they need to have it fixed. It's a nightmare situation, especially this winter's been kind of mild, and a lot of truck plowing goes on, and the way they left it is not good. But at least there's a resolution to repair it and fix it, and I thank the engineering department for pushing forward to resolving this for my neighbors. But no, to answer your question, Councilor Hill, I will abstain from voting on this.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Hill.
That being said, then I'm going to have a difficult time supporting this as well. I mean, I would vote against it if I can't, get the support of the councilor of the ward that the project is in. I would also vote against it then, based on that. So I think that speaks a lot to whether, you feel it's necessary. And even if you feel it's necessary, I mean, sometimes we have to vote ways that we don't necessarily like. But, okay.
Quick question for you, Jeff. That $19,677.47, which was the first item you listed, and that was because of unexpected discovery underneath as they were milling. Was that in both on the Munn Street and Brittany Hill project, or is that just on one and not the other?
That is just Munn Street. That will finish up all the paving work on Munn Street. Brittany Hill, the rest of the work is done. I believe that they have to come back to do some landscaping and things as expected when they run that late. And so that 19,000 plus is just Munn Street.
Okay.
And the Brittany Hill, the only outstanding issue is the pavement rebates and how that gets resolved.
All right, thanks for clearing that up. So, Councilor Hill, based on what you just said and what Councilor Tesorio said, part of this is Munn Street, which he's explained the reason for it, which I think is valid, because, again, when they milled, they couldn't obviously know what was under there. So is your issue with the Brittany Hill portion, the $12,180?
Yes, I would ask that if there was a way to separate them and still maintain the same pricing. Is that possible? Or because I don't think it's... I mean, I don't know if you understand, my reasoning, but if we can't get, even the councilor of the ward on board, then how, should we be expected to vote for an expenditure?
No, I understand your position on this. Councilor Tesorio?
Just to get back into this a little bit, like I said, I firmly believe this was nothing that the city should be responsible for. I mean, I think our due diligence was correct, our drawings were correct, the amount of work that this project, forecast to do. It's just unfortunate that the contractor made the mistake. I don't feel comfortable paying for something that we did not do. This was done by the contractor. He inadvertently didn't have the correct information to the people in the field. Why should we be the burden of those costs? I mean, I think this is on his dime or their dime, and I think if we allow this to happen, we're wrong. I mean, we didn't have anybody that said, okay, by the way, we're going to go down another 1,000 feet, because that's what it amounts to, 1,000 feet of paving. Now, I understand it. It's a wonderful price. It is. We'll probably never get that again. But still, this is not on us. This is on them. And they should inadvertently have to wear that. That's my belief. And Councilor Hill, thank you, you know, for, I just think that, you know, if we allow this to happen this time, who's to say that this ain't going to happen again? And
Councilor McBurney?
that's all I have.
So, excuse me, if we don't do this, then we go back to their original plan, which is just to fix the spots where they made the mistakes. Would the city be within, would we be within our rights to expect them to restore it to what it was before they, rather than a patch of fixes? Am I making it, I know I'm not.
So they will be expected to restore it to an acceptable condition.
One continuous pavement, the way it was before?
We can attempt to make that the requirement. I'm not sure how that we'll have to negotiate, because if they can provide like the initial solution was saw cut, chip out, clean and patch, if that's an acceptable solution that restores the integrity of the road, that's where the nitty-gritty will be. And if it's the council's decision to push back on this, then we can engage in that conversation and see what happens.
In our experience, how will that wear?
So wherever you have a crack, it will continue to open and close, open and close. They're going to crack seal them, but that becomes a maintenance thing over the years, that if that crack seal wears off, then it has to be occasionally reapplied to keep the road sealed. This is your top wearing course. It's the small stones. You know, it will, over time, any road you've been on where you see the crack seals, over time they wear out and the cracks get bigger, and then you eventually come back and repave.
Councilor Tesorio?
To the chair again, thank you. We had a perfectly good road there. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. We should not, like I spoken earlier, we should not be the burden of trying to repair something that we did not do. It was a perfectly good, that section, to bring you up to history, that section was paved about 3.5, 4 years ago. That section was paved. Our city employees, the DPW, did it and did a fine job. We had no issues, we had no cracking, we had no water, we had the drainage conditions at that end of Brittany were good. Beyond that is where the issue became, and that's how this whole project through the mayor initiated this project several years ago when he took office, to say, you know, we had to address what we did, and we did. They proceeded to take it further, and that's why we're at this conversation. So, to go back to that is, we had a perfectly good road that should be restored a perfectly good road. I'm not saying we should go back and patch and seal and, no, put it back the way you found it. Because this is what you did. Nobody else did. This is what the contractor did. Just put it back the way you found it, which means if they got to eat the $58 it cost, they have to eat it. It shouldn't be on us. We didn't do it. It's not like the DPW went up there and cut it up and, you know, no, they did it. Let's make them held responsible. This company that did this work has done a ton of work in this city. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. Let's hold them accountable for once. And that's my stance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see a question in the back left corner.
You want to be first? You're the mayor, I'm not.
Well, thanks.
One comment, okay, Mr. Mayor? Robbie, I wish him luck. This is the legacy of Tony Leota we're coming up with on the project you gave out and the one you're dealing with. And that final project over here, sewer separate, I wish you all the luck in the world. This is the legacy of Leota. Okay? He was out of control. Everything was remembered up here. Nothing was down on paper. You want to go talk to him now? I don't think he'll remember his own name.
Thank you, Miles. Mayor?
Just maybe one suggestion, but here's the thing, is I think the issue we have is with Christopher Circle. We have no issue with the Munn Street. So my suggestion would be, we either authorize tonight to pay the Munn Street and not pay the Christopher Circle, or table the whole thing. Here's the issue, is dealing in real time here, is WD submitted change order, which means Rosselli, who did the work, the quote contractor who made the error, is already whole because WD probably fronted the money to Rosselli to do the work. So they're paid, and WD is actually the one out of the money, who, yes, was the GC, you could call it, on the job, but it wasn't their actual employees and equipment that did the error. If Councilor Tessler, my opinion is, if Christopher Circle is worse off now than it was before the work, and he wants to restore it back to what it was, meaning what it was better, you know, then that's an issue that we can deal with there, make them go undo it and redo it to the way it was. But I would only do that if Christopher Circle's worse now than it was. I don't know, I haven't been up there. The other option here, when dealing with Rosselli, so either if we don't pay this and table it to discuss it with WD and Rosselli, you know, maybe there's some options, because like the councilor said, Rosselli, I don't know if he was talking about WD or Rosselli, but both have done a lot of work in the city. WD has the Seneca Street Bikeway project this spring. Rosselli has, at least since I've been mayor, I think has got 2 of our 4 paving jobs. They hustle in aggregate for us on some other issues and some other projects as well. So maybe there's an opportunity for a credit come spring that we can explore with either of them, depending on what one of these companies is made whole. I'm sure that WD made Rosselli whole, and we owe the money to WD. The other, and I'm only bring up that option, is maybe there's time for a conversation there, because we do business with both of these companies. We have a good relationship with both. By good relationship, I mean DPW needs aggregate hustled in. We call Rosselli and they have a truck here this afternoon. That's worth something to me in terms of city operations. WD is the same thing. If we need a project done, and yes, I'm well aware they get paid for it, but logistically they accommodate us when we need something at a moment's notice. So those are just some relationships to keep in mind. But I think regardless of what the outcome is, we're going to have to go back and have a conversation. You know, I guess it's one thing if we're going to make them undo the work and put it back to what it was, if we're worse off now. But we'll have to go back and have a conversation about the 12 grand, whether it's a credit if the council is open to it, or if we're just saying no. Or maybe we need to have a conversation to understand the flow of money right now if WD did in fact make Rosselli whole, but I'm almost positive that's how it works. So a couple other things to consider.
All right, thank you. Well, I see a hand up in the front row.
Philosophically, I have a problem with paying things that clearly someone did agree. 2 weeks ago, there was a conversation here about a light that was broken, and whether or not Ramon offered the bridge to pay for it was an issue. Okay, well, somebody did agree. If you've got a contract, you have things in writing, or parameters, or responsibilities. We're talking about 10 grand it's not penny change. And it's not right to hold up an invoice, it's running over that, so I would say probably put it out, pay for the Munn Street work, and do have that conversation, because there is a lot more work to be done. And if it was a lack of oversight on the city's part, and somebody got short and the whole thing, that's a different problem. But if somebody just went completely beyond the parameters that are contracted for, I think that's where a purchasing department or something with teeth comes in, push back. I would push back.
All right, thank you. Jeff?
To be clear, the WD Malone portion of this, that is an invoice, that is a bill. They've done the work's paid, it's over. The other from Rosselli is a proposal to make it whole. So right now, we put a stop work order on them essentially to because we were running into rain, we weren't getting temperatures, the asphalt plants were closing, so there wasn't a mechanism for them to finish out Brittany Hill. So they have to come back to make it right. This was their proposal. I have a letter from them stating that they're willing to do the patchwork, as we'll call it, but as an alternative was this. And so just to be clear, this isn't an invoice. We haven't been billed that $12,000. They haven't done any work yet. It hasn't been, it's still an open order from us.
So the work at Christopher Circle isn't done?
Correct.
So what he said, undo it and put it back where it was?
So what's happened is the contractor has run a milling machine at the end of everyone's driveway, and where Christopher Circle ties into Main Line, they've cut the roadway there. Preparing to tie in an overlay is what they were doing. So when you do that, you mill along your old pavements so that you can tie the new pavement in. That's what they've done, and that's when we said, wait, you're not supposed to be working here. So if you go up there, you'll see around the manholes, you'll see at the driveways all this grinding that's occurred, but they haven't done anything to it from that point forward. So it's right now it's bare milled pavement that needs to be restored, and whatever needs to be put back into good condition.
We say you don't get the money to let DPW do it, or we say...
Or go and, I mean, they're willing to do the patchwork, which is the bare minimum to restore it back to rideable condition.
Well, I think we've pretty much discussed this. We've got several options.
I have one more thing to say.
Councilor Tesorio has one more thing to say.
What you just mentioned, Jeff, is unacceptable. We're not going to take going up and patching a perfectly good road that they tore up. We're not. I mean, I'm not going to vote to do that. I wouldn't expect any of my councilors to accept that, because it's nothing we did, it's what they did. So they're going to go up and patch it. Well, we didn't have a patch road to start with. We had a perfectly good road, just like any road in the city of Oswego. Okay? So let them fix it to the way they found it, is my solution or my wish, per se. I don't think we should be on the hook for that. We didn't do it. They did. And, you know, far be it for me to say, okay, you know, hey, I do live there, and I see what we deal with every single day. Now, I would see that if it was in Councilor Cordino's ward, or any other councilor here, McGrarty's, Councilor Golzak, Councilor Hills, Councilor Walker, and Burridge. I would see that, and we wouldn't accept it. And we're not. I don't think we should accept it, because it was a mistake. We didn't make the mistake. We didn't offer that. The plans were clear, as you can attest to. The plans were clear. Here's where you stop. They continue to go. We didn't tell them to do that. By the time I could get out there and tell them, it was too late. So, all due respect, Mayor, I think we do have good relationships with both contractors, and I'd like to see that continue. But we didn't do this. They did it.
So you're saying to go back to the quote the way it was is the 12 grand?
That's what it would cost
The
us.
12 grand represents that they would overlay it, and you wouldn't see any pavement joints. You wouldn't see anything like it is now. It would restore the look and the ride of that area.
So I would say come to the bill, they on street.
Yeah.
They have to go back and tell the seller
I think that's the best way to go. I'm
I
going
agree.
to propose that we authorize payment of the $19,677.47 for the milling and saw cut on Munn Street.
Well,
both on the project, it's both on the change.
no, if it was in its original form as presented to us tonight, I would abstain from voting on that, or I would have voted no.
You would vote no.
Yeah, well,
Why would you abstain? If you live there, and why
well, that's something, that is something I considered only because I didn't want to take it away from... I didn't want to
not at
take
all.
it...
Demonstrate.
I didn't... I'll give you my explanation. Because I would, through the chair, I would not take it away from my neighbors. They deserve to have the road the way it was. And maybe that's the way I would abstain instead of a no vote. And that's the only reason. And I apologize if that's confusing, but that's what I would do.
Well, I think we're getting a little off track here, so can we move forward here? And, I mean, I'd like to, again, make a proposal that we pay for the $19,677.47, and that the other balance of the bill, or the proposed bill, of $12,180, that we will not pay for, and let the city attorney or whoever negotiate it.
I'll second it.
Well, before we go there,
No, that's fine. It's just a point of order. So that would essentially be an amendment to the change order.
right, so I'd like to make an amendment.
Yeah. That's how it would show up in the final approving resolution.
And that's what I'm doing, making an amendment that we pay the $19,677.47, and that the balance is still up for negotiations.
Final point of order, under Robert's Rules of Order, which this council operates under, an abstention is essentially treated as a no vote.
All right? Do I have a second? Counselor Hill, Counselor McBurney.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes, as amended.
Counselor Byrd.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes, as amended.
Counselor Ferrero.
Yes, as amended.
Counselor McCurdy.
Yes, as amended.
Okay, I believe we're moving on to item number 6. The Office of Economic Community Development requests that the mayor be authorized to sign change order number 6 for the Oswego Downtown Revitalization Initiative Pocket Park and Riverwalk Enhancement Project. Mr. Mayor?
More change orders. This change order is from the Pocket Park. If you remember, at the last meeting of last year, we had 2 change orders on the agenda, and then we, at committee, and then we took one off at council. This is the one we took off because there was still more work, and instead of doing 2 and then 1 more, I said, enough, give us everything you have, because we're done after this last change order. So this change order closes out the project. This change order is for if you're standing on Water Street looking towards the lake, on either side of, one side of Water Street's the buildings, the area that's under construction right now, and the other side of Water Street is that thin curb that separates the parking lot from Water Street. That wasn't originally in the project, but we had them do it, otherwise we thought the project would look half done and go the length of Water Street, crashing out that curb and replacing it with nicer curb and taking out all what was the concrete sidewalk and those lamps, and putting in what will be this spring either a garden of flowers or mulch or empty space where we'll put flower boxes and things like that. So that's the majority of this change order. The other change order is the sidewalk replacements out on West First that had to be torn up from the water pipe.
So the total amount of the change order, from what I read, is $105,088.25. Is that correct?
And that'll close out the project.
And that'll close out the project. You won't come back for any more.
No, one thing I want to mention from the sewer separation that I forgot, it's really kind of the same talk. Back to the second phase, at the first phase, if you drive down streets where the sewer separation work has been done, you'll see that there's still road cuts that were patched over. Erie Street's a good example of this, from 5th Street to West 1st Street, where it's patched over. The sewer, you live and learn, so after doing this the first time, when I just took office to now, in the contract for the sewer separation for downtown, we're doing curb-to-curb paving. So if they tear up even a little section of the street, they will repave it curb to curb instead of half the road like we have like on Erie Street now or other areas, which makes sense.
All right, thank you. Any questions or concerns on this particular item? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Counselor Burge, Counselor McBurney?
Counselor Corino?
Yes.
Counselor Byrd?
Yes.
Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Tamburro?
Yes.
Counselor McCurdy?
Yes.
Item number 7, the Code Enforcement Department requested Onondaga County Purchasing be authorized to seek bids from experienced firms or individuals to provide miscellaneous services to resolve code enforcement complaints. Mr. Mayor?
This is the work for the $40,000 that we put in the budget every year. You put $40,000 again. If you remember last year, we actually did this work, authorized this work through an emergency work order. The 40 grand passed in the budget, but we didn't have anything in place until the grass started growing in April, so I did an emergency work order and went out and got the 3 quotes to assign this. The right way to do this is actually put it out to bid because it's above our $30,000 threshold. This is $40,000, so this is just permission to bid the work.
All right, very good. Thanks for that explanation. Any concerns, questions, comments?
Some of the things in here, it's actually kind of interesting. You know, we write the criteria of what goes in the RFP, so you know, in here we have, just so the council knows, to be a qualified contractor, you have to respond to our complaints within 24 hours. You have to be on call for emergency purposes. We did put in shoveling snow, which we didn't do last year, so if we get this out to bid, get it back and award it, and there's still snow on the ground, we can have them help with clearing snow. If we get a big storm, you guys know that DPW does the roads and does parks and then kind of work their way out from the school zones from there. So, and again, this work is to just supplement. DPW does a majority of the lawn mowing, debris cleaning, and snow removal for code enforcement. This 40 grand really just supplements our code response work in the busiest of times, like June, when the grass is growing as fast as it does all year. Spring cleaning, move out time frames as well. So, it doesn't always go very far, but it's definitely effective.
Thank you. Any other concerns? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councilor Hill, Councilor Tesorerio.
Counselor Corino?
Yes.
Counselor Byrd?
Yes.
Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Tamburro?
Yes.
Counselor McCurdy?
Yes.
Item number 8, the wastewater treatment plant requests that GHD Consulting Services Incorporated be authorized to proceed with the preparation of the disinfection efficiency improvement plan to be submitted to the NYSDEC on or before March 2nd, 2020.
Good evening. This is a result of our last consent order. There are a couple of issues with our disinfection. DEC thinks there are a couple of issues with our disinfection. Much of it is due to the weather that we've had in the high river levels and lake levels, but they want a study done. They want us to tell them what we're going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. That's what this is.
Councilor Tesorerio.
Now you say river and lake levels. I mean, we don't see that improving anytime
No, we don't.
in the near future.
So I fully anticipate that from this report, we're going to have work to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
And what's the cost of the report?
$12,500.
Very good. Thank you. Any concerns, questions for Ken? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councilor Burge, Councilor Tesorerio.
Counselor Corino?
Yes.
Counselor Byrd?
Yes.
Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Tamburro?
Yes.
Counselor McCurdy?
Yes.
I see beyond both items number 9 and 10, our request to go into executive session. I suggest that we do have another committee meeting, the Planning Committee, I believe.
Physical.
And I suggest we go into recess for this, Physical Services, sorry. I suggest we go into recess on this committee so we can address the next committee. So can I have a motion to go into recess? Councilor McBurney, Councilor Tesorerio.
Counselor Corino?
Yes.
Counselor Byrd?
Yes.
Counselor Hill?
Yes.
Counselor Tamburro?
Yes.
Counselor McCurdy?
Yes.
This time, I'd like to call the Physical Services Committee meeting for January 21st, 2020 to order. Please call the roll.
Counselor Hill.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Berry.
Here.
Counselor Gosar.
Here.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of our December 2nd, 2019 meeting?
Make a motion.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Goza.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Berry.
Yes.
Counselor Gosar.
Yes.
Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business under communication. Item number 1, William J. Barlow Jr. has received a request from Ellen Clark regarding the Hearts on the Bridge project for the month of February. Ms. Clark?
Hello. It is the 5-year anniversary of Hearts on the Bridge. Not asking for anything this year different than what we've had, just the 10 hearts, 5 foot, that would be on 10 of the poles of the Bridge Street Bridge.
Thank you.
Welcome.
They've been popular in the past. People seem to enjoy looking at them, and it gives us a different feel for the month of February. So, any questions or comments from the council? Could I have a motion, please? Oh,
Quick
Councilor.
question. Is there a cost to the city for this?
No.
Labor cost.
Just
the
labor?
cost.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Not for the hearts.
Could I please have a motion? Councilor Walker, Councilor Berry.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Berry.
Yes.
Counselor Gosar.
Yes.
Item number 2, the City of Oswego
Thank
Special
you.
Events Committee, through the Office of Economic Development, has received a request from the Oswego Lions Club regarding the annual River's Edge Crab Show to be held on Sunday, June 14th, 2020, between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mr. Rudgick, did you have anything to say on this?
This has been a popular event in the past. It's a recurring event. They're pretty much asking for the same thing. We're still working on the logistics of the Breakback Park setup because we'll be doing some construction projects this summer, and now with the basketball court, they kind of envision parking in there for the vendors. So we're still working with that, but they want to be able to reserve Breakback Park for that event where they've had it. So everything else is working out pretty well, and it's been a popular event.
Thank you. For our new counselor, we do have a comprehensive events application that goes out. It's returned. The Office of Economic Development distributes that to all the relevant departments. So they check scheduling, any needs of staff, things like that. So that's all fleshed out before it comes to us. So
Understood.
It's a pretty straightforward process. It's really streamlining the net request process. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, could I have a motion, please? Councilor Dosick, Councilor Burge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Berry.
Yes.
Counselor Gosar.
Yes.
Item number 3, the Special Events Committee, through the Office of Economic Development, has received a request from the Oswego City County Youth Bureau to organize and host the Children's Easter Egg Hunt on April 11, 2020, beginning at 10 a.m.
Again, this is another popular recurring event. It's been held at Breakback last year. It's been moved, and based on it being at Breakback, it's been popular and it's been well accommodated for the community. A lot of people from the city as well as the surrounding areas come to this event. But if you have any specific questions, I'm sure Brian could answer them. But again, it's a pretty straightforward event and a popular event, and it's great.
Any questions or comments? Okay, could I have a motion, please? Councilor Walker, Councilor Burge.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Berry.
Yes.
Counselor Gosar.
Yes.
Item number 4, the City of Oswego Special Events Committee, through the Office of Economic Development, has received a request from the Oswego YMCA to hold the annual Oswego YMCA Dragon Boat Festival from August 5th to 8th, 2020.
This is another recurring event. It's been popular in the past. The reason why we put this ahead of time, the event's not going to happen until August, is that the Y reserves this specialized dragon boat. They need to be able to secure that, so we wanted to be able to secure that date for them. Sometimes in the past we've had another event with the Atomic Fishing Derby, or tournament. We haven't received an application from them yet, but I mean, we're able to accommodate both the fishing derby as well as the dragon boat, so I don't anticipate any issues in the future. And just so the council knows, especially the new one, is when we do the applications, we send it out to the applicable departments that would be have some responsibility before we come to you. So, for example, the dragon boat, they want to sell alcohol, so we pass it on to the police department to review that and then grant the necessary approval process as part of that cycle. And so I just want to let you know that we do that before we even come to you. And once it comes to you, then my secretary, Lisa Donabella, will send out a reminder to the council as well as the other departments in terms of the reminder that the event is upcoming, so that way you remember what's going on, and she's done a good job with that.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, could I have a motion, please? Councilor Gozick, Councilor Byrd.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Byrd.
Yes.
Counselor Goodwin.
Yes.
Is there any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councilor Walker, Councilor Byrd.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Byrd.
Yes.
Counselor Goodwin.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to have a motion to have the Administrative Services Committee meeting come out of recess and go into executive session. Councilor McBurney, Councilor Tesorario.
Counselor Bernino.
Yes.
Counselor Byrd.
Yes.
Counselor Hill.
Yes.
Counselor Pizzardo.
Yes.
Counselor Creed.
Yes.